sometimes I can speak really loud, so please tell me if I'm getting too loud. The first thing I want to talk about is why I chose to join the Education and Youth Programming. I come from a long line of educators, two of which taught in this very building. One that was Lee Moss, and my mother, Mary Sith. Also, I have a number of other educators in my family, so education is always something that's interested me. The other reason why I chose to join this is because I moved back to Gary, Indiana, to Miller, and I have a child. So I have a vested interest in this community. I've lived here for a number of years, and the education is something that I've seen in my own personal life, especially as being a single mother. The job opportunities available to me, things that will be available to my child. So education is something that's very vital. What I look at education as being is being the bridge, and it's the bridge that connects all the other pieces. So for me, education was a vital piece of that bridge to give the community to rebuild itself. From area context, infrastructure, so on and so forth, safety, it's all parts of the bridge. So that's the way I looked at education, as being the piece that actually links them together. According to the 203 initial interviews, one of the greatest opportunities and weaknesses within our community was the education system. So while it was looked at as being very weak, of course in that weakness we see a lot of opportunities. Though Miller boasts several educational options and has more than one blue ribbon school, there is a general perception that we are losing our young families and do not have the means or desire to send their children to our local schools. Some interviewed contended that certain schools may be doing okay as far as test scores, but they had heard of horror stories regarding the infrastructure, the facilities. Additionally, the relatively new restructuring of the school districts has been seen as a weakness as well. Some also contend that there's not the same sense of community. I know we're standing in Word Emerson. It used to be Word, and the troopers were diehard troopers. You know, from Gary, you had the West Side, and they were strong West Side alumni, and still very strong. You had Roosevelt, very proud Panthers. You had those senses of community. Now it seems like it's sort of lost, especially in the Miller community because of the restructuring. And so it's really getting people to see that the school is still the same, and we need the support. Another point gleaned from our data is that many parents and guardians, including the ones that send their students to local schools, are driving their youngsters out of the community to participate in camps and other extracurricular activities. So not only are they getting our youth, they're getting our talent, and they're getting our finances. Again, not pouring it back into the community. This is seen as negatively affecting our community, causing unnecessary vehicle pollution and leading to missed business opportunities. Also, it has been noted that there isn't any real designated space for the youth, and that was something that our committee looked at, along with a number of other communities. Looking for a designated youth space. Some people contend that it's the safety is an issue. Some people contend that it's just not feasible, but we find that it can very well be feasible. The community seems to feel that Miller could greatly improve if more opportunities were given to families. If we were to capitalize on our youngsters to promote from within until these items had been addressed. And most folks claim that they would have been hesitant to recommend Miller to other families. Our action group looked into the validity of these perceptions as we attempted to address this theme. And again, communication and engagement came up in our research. One major thing was that people did not know unless someone told them. They felt like they were not being informed. And so that was the point behind Miller Harvest Fest. We wrote and were awarded the Early Action Grant from the Legacy Foundation, and we're thankful to them, and we're able to host the first Miller Spotlight Harvest Fest, which took place on Friday, October 30th at many of you knew. And the goal of this event was to get local educational institutions, youth and child programming agencies, and not-for-profits to be able to talk to kids, parents, and families and guardians regarding what was happening in the community. It was sort of like the meatloaf concept that Jess always talks about, where you stick the vegetables inside the meat. You get the good stuff, what you need, as well as you can have fun. And this provided a relaxed setting. So, from that, we had 22 vendors that hosted tables. Each table had at least 2. And then we also had 19 volunteers that coordinated the event and carried it out. And then we had businesses from Lake Street all the way from Miller Avenue to 4 who gave out candy. And we had over 200 people to attend the event with not that much promotion. So all the active parties, such as vendors, businesses, and different organizations, handed out candy. They volunteered their services. We had face painters. We had numerous things, a haunted house. We had so many things, and it provided a great, fun atmosphere for the children, as well as for the parents to garner information. We even had a gorilla flash mob, and that brought people from outside of the community into our community to see what we got. You know, so folks came from all over the place, like Hammond and even Portage to participate. And of course, you can see those pictures on the Miller blog page. So from reviewing the community conversations, the data, and our own research, we came up with 5 goals. The first goal being to continue to run and grow the Miller Spotlight Harvest Fest each year, so that it becomes a local tradition for promoting our educational institutions, our youth programming, and will provide or create a relaxed setting for families to engage with their community. Also a safe setting. Secondly, to create partnerships with local institutions, entities that are open to refurbishing the properties, adopting those properties, and making them community spaces for all of our community participating. Thirdly, increasing the play and event attendance at Wirt Emerson Visual and Performing Arts Academy by 100% by November 2018. This will promote the engagement with our local talent and enrich, of course, the community culture. Third, develop a line of communication and quarterly meetings between the public schools, the charter schools, private schools, home schools, parents and guardians, and allow them to create programs that cater to our youth and our children and keep these groups updated and abridged with new developments and opportunities. One thing we found was that there was a huge disconnect between charter schools and public schools. Between home schools, those kids that went to public schools didn't know what the charter schools were doing. The parents from home schools didn't know what was going on in their own community, or they had their own community. And so we want to link all of those. We're stronger together than divided. The next was develop and run an annual April showcase, look out for that will be open to the entire school-age community and create a natural place for parents and guardians and community members and educators to network. This event will allow for engagement and give our local institutions an opportunity to distribute information in a fun setting. And we are looking forward to the action portion of this initiative. We hope that you will consider joining our efforts, and we all look forward to you joining our group.
Thank you. This group was because I'm actually not from the Miller area. I'm from the west side of Gary, but Gary has the same issue all around. And what I've learned is that the economy affects so many different aspects of our lives, including health, families, and for me, it's very important that parents have enough time to spend with their children and to help with the homework, just as the education group was just speaking about. What I've learned is that a lot of parents that actually do have jobs are not able to spend as much time with their children because they have to work, and a lot of the times they have to commute to Chicago because we don't have the jobs here. So that takes away from the time with parents spending with their children. Also, with other cities around us driving off of the money that we do have, it prevents our city from growing as well. So what we decided to do from the information that we got from those that volunteered to give their comments, and we came up with 4 different goals. And one of them was to host 6 business workshops throughout the year of 2016. And those business workshops will focus on current businesses as well as businesses that are aspiring to grow. And what those workshops will consist of will be marketing plans, and even how to write your business plan, how to manage your finances, because as we've seen, businesses are not able to maintain themselves here in the city, and a lot of it is due to outdated information on how to run a business. And that's going to help the community grow financially and ultimately help with other issues that are big in the city and in Miller. We wanted to create a co-working space, like a cafe that would cater to maybe possibly freelance businesses where they would be able to have a space and an address that they can start their businesses and then grow from there. The third one was a financial literacy program, and that's one of the things that we found that was really, really big here. A lot of people, and I can say for myself, financial literacy has just not been taught. And the younger generation specifically, I came out in 2007 from the original Emerson building, and we were never taught those things. We weren't taught how to manage a bank account. We weren't taught how to manage household funds and how to create a budget, taxes. We weren't taught those type of things. And so a lot of us don't have bank accounts. A lot of us are in goals to get out of debt. They don't have. They don't know where to begin. So this would help so many people in this particular area as well as across the city to learn how to manage their funds, learn how to get out of debt and stay out of debt, because that's a huge thing as well. And fourthly, the goal that we came up with was to establish the need for reconstruction of the Lake Street beach neck shop by setting up food trucks near the summer. And that will cater to the community as a whole, as far as bringing other people to the events that we have throughout the city, and that would, of course, bring in more income. And for the big picture, is really just to bring income into the city as opposed to taking it outside of the city. So that's pretty much what the economy talk has started to do.
Well, I work in the environment as part of my job. In fact, I am a transplant to Miller. I came up here for a job to work on water quality. And what do you know? We have that beautiful asset, Lake Michigan, right in our own backyard. And now I find myself as a Miller resident. I'm passionate about the environment. It's an important topic to our community because we have something so unique that so many people don't have. We're wrapped around a national park. Or I guess the national park is wrapped around us. We have globally rare habitat. We have trails, communities, parks and beaches. Some things, like I said, that we really have a treasure here in our community. And with as nice as the weather is today, I hope you leave here and get outside and enjoy it. So this came out in the interviews that 92% of our interviewees see that the environment and ecotourism is a huge opportunity for our community. Now there's some concern about how we should go out, go about getting people to these places. Is there going to be destruction by more pollution? Are there added threats by inviting more people in to access these trails? Will they be over-commercialized? Many of our interviewees also wonder about the long-lasting effects of the factories that bookend our community. Litter and illegal dumping came up over and over and over. And there are suggestions for better signage and administration of tickets concerning the matter. And we have many vigilant neighborhood groups that go out and do litter pickups. Actually, there was one just in October. They went out in costumes on Halloween and picked up litter. But we also recognize that we need the community to embrace this as a whole, and we need city leadership as well to tackle litter and debris in our natural areas. So however, while we have these these concerns about what's threatening our environmental assets, we still have the majority of our community enthusiastic about the environment. And majority of those people that were interviewed say that as long as we do so with an environmentally conscious mindset, we can really promote ecotourism in a thoughtful way so that people come here and enjoy our parks, our beaches, the Douglas Center, because these are huge strengths in our communities. But really, their underutilization, it's a weakness for Miller. You know, we also have the largest public parking accessibility to Lake Michigan in the whole Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan region. That's pretty huge. And along with the South Shore Line and their proximity to Chicago, we can really become an ideal destination for those using a line. However, for any kind of ecotourism to thrive, or any tourism in general to thrive, we need better visibility for both our residents and our tourists. And as I mentioned before, we need to make these destination spots and come up with these ideas, keeping the environmental health in mind. And therefore, we came up with 4 goals. So our 4 goals were: 1, develop a Miller map to increase patronage of natural sites and businesses by 10% by 2016, December 2016. We want to make it more visible that people know what the Douglas Center, they know where they can get to these trails, they know where they can park to get to these trails. They're not confused about what Lake Street Beach is versus Marquette Park. And these were all things that came up during our discussions. We also want to, goal 2, increase advertisement, and that's sharing via email, website, social media, of environment and ecotourism events by 25%. Also hoping to do so by December 2016. Because again, a lot of people just don't know about these awesome events that are going on. We want to get the word out. Design and install 10 new signs that indicate where those trails, beaches, and parks exist, or indicate appropriate use, such as no littering, by December 2017. Again, some people came up that they just can't really find their way around. They don't know where the bike paths are. They don't know the difference between some of these areas. We need to make that easy to access. We need that visibility. And last but not least, develop 6 environment and ecotourism themed advertisements specific to the Miller neighborhood by December 2017. And those advertisements, when developed, you know, that's just kind of reaching and trying to send that message of, again, Miller has these beaches, these trails, these parks, these wonderful things in its community. Come visit. Now, we focused on these 4 goals, and that was kind of our, you know, at a minimum, because other concerns such as the illegal dumping and litter, they're being addressed by other action groups. So hopefully, what we were able to address with our 4 goals, really, it speaks the language of what all of you as vested community members want to hear. We're already underway with our first goal, that Miller map. Be on the lookout for that in the new year. And hopefully in the spring, I find many of you outside on these beautiful paths, finding your way and finding yourselves in these treasured places in our own backyard.
The Area Context Action Group, and I chose to join this group because I was interested in helping to create a unified brand for the area and marketing Miller like places around us. I think this subject is important to our community because without a clear strategy to market our strengths, no one's going to care about all the other work everyone else is doing. Like a lot of other people have said, I'm sure if people don't know what's going on, then they can't join the fun, I guess. So from the 4,013 comments recorded during the initial interview process, Miller is seen by the majority of interviewees as an established community with a lot of potential that could be better capitalized upon. Most folks interviewed have seen their experience here as positive in general, but also contend that there's room for growth and improvement. Always is. Most people interviewed and agreed that Miller could use a better PR campaign if we want to grow as a community. However, some stated that they preferred our hidden gem status and feared gentrification and exploitation of our community. Vested community members, natural wonders, relatively inexpensive cost of living, and a proximity to Chicago have been listed as our top strengths as a neighborhood. We have such a unique and eclectic community. There always seems to be a lot going on all year round. But many folks have stated that there isn't enough synergy between our online and traditional news sources. We have a need for a more connected and targeted marketing campaign for our entire community if we want it to thrive. Our diverse population has been listed as a strength by the majority of interviewees. But our inability to coordinate more, blending between the races, generations, and socioeconomic brackets is seen not only as a missed opportunity, but a weakness in general. Our group met this summer and discussed ways in which we could address the opinions presented during the interview process, as well as review the facts behind them. We came up with the 4 following goals. Goal 1 is to market the Miller neighborhood through online and traditional news sources. We also want to create a community calendar that collects all the things going on so people know what's happening, and we want to do more community hangouts and gatherings in an accessible and fun setting. And I think the last thing we talked about was maybe some sort of welcome wagon to welcome new residents to the community. Our group's looking for more volunteers, and we'd love to have as many people as possible sign up. So if you're interested, please talk to the coordinator.
What their group had to say was that the majority of folks interviewed by Miller Spotlight said they wanted to see more police presence, especially in our heavily populated areas. Additionally, a general lack of code enforcement when it comes to litter and illegal dumping was seen as a threat to our community. There's a lot of littering. There's also a lot of people here, not to name specific people, who do a great job cleaning up after it. Another item that came up was the lifeguard situation. This past summer, I'm concerned with professionalism and the media's perception of the community and safety standards. So the Safety and Code Enforcement Group apparently met several times over the course of the summer to address the facts behind the opinions that have been expressed, to put together some goals for a Miller Spotlight project. They went ahead and they created 4 goals that I think overlap a lot of the other group's goals, which is good, that they're going to begin implementing next year. The goals are to reduce illegal dumping within the Miller footprint by 75% by 2018. That's goal number 1. Goal number 2 is to form cooperative relationships by promoting community and police engagement activities with the 4 major apartment complexes within the Miller footprint to reduce the number of police calls by 20% by the end of 2020. Again, that was goal number 2. Goal number 3 is to identify 10 spots to post littering signs, nonviolent code enforcement signs, and get them placed and codes enforced by January of 2017. And then the last of the 4 goals is to improve lifeguard accountability to reduce safety incidents on the beach by 10% in the 2016 season, and to promote our public beaches, which are clearly a real asset for our community. So as a group, they've tried to address the community's concerns as best as possible with these goals, and would love to have more folks involved. So if you feel passionate about code enforcement, feel free to join the code enforcement committee.
And the reason why I chose this group is because I walk a lot, ride a lot, and also really in touch with youth transportation. Is everybody familiar with what Ford Motor Company is? Oh, my bad. Ford Motor Company. All right, Ford Motor Company is going to do this. They're going to not do this. They're going to stop building so many individual passenger cars for urban areas, large urban areas. If you guys didn't know that, did you? And you can get a hint of that right now because, well, look at all the car companies. You don't have Oldsmobile, you don't have Pontiac, you don't have Mercury. They're starting to make fewer and fewer cars. So the future of transportation is going in a different direction. And like I said, I want to be a part of that. This subject is important to our community because, while we have an abundance of rail traffic going through Miller Beach, whether it's passenger trains or whether it's freight trains, it's a lot of trains. And also, buses. When you look at David Wright, still in here, raise your hand. There he is, way over there. Okay, as he told me, he's with the bus company. And Miller Beach, this route that goes through Miller Beach, it has more riders than any other local bus route in Gary. Did I get that right, David? That's right. So we got a lot of people riding buses in Miller. Now I'm going to go back to the script. Transportation and infrastructure ranks high on both the opportunity and weakness quadrants from our community interview data. Many interviewees mentioned that they were pleased to have most of the major roads repaved. You guys remember, it was really bad at first. Some of the major ones have been repaved. But they find the potholes on the side streets is still in disrepair. And of course, the railroad crossings are also sometimes almost impossible to pass. But people are encouraged by Gary's push for green design, but would like more information on Gary's intentions and to be allowed to have some input on them, especially if they are majorly transition to the neighborhood. Of course, there is another problem, that's the lack of continuous sidewalks. Like I said, I walk a lot, so there's a lack of continuous sidewalks in Miller, in particular Lake Street, and that's our main street, so we should have a continuous sidewalk, but we don't. And the interview process also asked for us to have more bike lanes, and that would improve traffic and pedestrian flow. Many people who use public transit feel the South Shore Station is a major asset to the neighborhood. Remember I told you about trains? But would ideally like some mode of public transportation like buses or trolleys available to get them and prospective tourists to Lake Street Beach and Marquette Park. Additionally, many of our neighborhood facilities like our parks and trails are being underutilized because there is not a visible bus stop provided at these major destinations. Several interviewees also informed our steering committee that they, or someone close to them, have lost jobs due to the buses not being dependable. They feel that the buses should run more frequently and ideally extend their routes down Route 20 for workers who do not have personal vehicles. That's going to be a lot of people in the near future. At the very least, community members would like to see extended hours and buses that run on Sunday so that more folks could be seen as dependable employees and they could come to the farmers market, which is only open here on Sundays. They also feel that this would increase revenue for Miller and Gary as a whole. They implore that a few positive side effects to these additions would be a general increase in the quality of life for Gary Miller residents, also promotion of tourism, and less pollution, as even folks with personal vehicles would be more likely to take the bus if it was more convenient. That's right. So since August, our action group has met and we tried to address our options presented in the community conversations report and compare them to the facts surrounding our themes in our neighborhood. These are the goals we are creating. Identify and engage at least 10 key regional partners involved in development, improvements, and funding of transportation infrastructure to advocate for and find means to achieve our short, and I better not do that, short and long-term goals beginning October 31st, 2015. Increased number of residents biking, rolling and walking in Miller Beach by 500% by year 2025. Provide shuttle bus service to 500 Miller Beach residents on weekends and for special events by summer 2016, and increase numbers by 10% each year to the beginning of 2018. By 2020, make 100% of public transportation and active transport infrastructure in the Miller Beach community accessible for all. We received a legacy grant, and this is what we're going to do with this legacy grant. We're going to purchase bicycle racks. If you're a biker around here, you might have noticed that we don't have many bicycle racks, hardly any at all. So we're going to be hosting a bike ride / workshop November 22nd. You got any cyclists in here? Raise your hand. Patrick, hope to see you. Julian, we hope to see you guys. November 22nd, that's that workshop I just told you about. This workshop is actually going to be a rolling workshop. We're going to ride around Miller Beach and we're going to identify improvised bike racks versus bike racks we don't have at all. Okay? And also at the same time, I'm going to just check out the accessibility in the area. Okay? That's to get everybody involved. So that's what's going to happen November 26th? Excuse me. Oh, that's my birthday, November 26th. What's going to happen November 22nd? All right, that's right. Okay.
I am the chair of the Property and Blight Action Group. I chose to join this group because I already had an interest in addressing the vacant and abandoned properties in Gary. And I really wanted to get more involved with the community. I'm actually about 2.5 years here in Miller, transplant from Chicago. I started a nonprofit about a year ago called Rehabitate, and that raises funds to demo buildings deemed unsafe and beyond potential for rehab. Rehabitate generates these funds by reselling materials salvaged from demolition projects or materials donated from businesses and homeowners. But demolition is really a last resort to addressing these property issues. And the goals of the Spotlight Group are to look at every possibility. Whether it's cleaning up vacant lots, boarding up properties, or marketing the area to new residents and investors. We are probably all aware that this isn't your typical city. And for the community to thrive, we need the community to take a do-it-yourself type of attitude. If we want things to improve, we have to take an active part in making that happen and to continue to support each other along the way. I already see this happening. Neighbors jumping into snowplow streets, the Garden Club transforming Lake Street and Marquette Park, and all the members of this community that are already doing something to make a difference. The subject of property and blight is important to our community because it impacts many areas of our lives. It can be a security issue and attract crime. It creates a negative impression on visitors, and it hurts businesses. It hinders the growth of the community and often discourages people from moving here and limits the potential for new jobs. It is just sad to see an abandoned property continue to sit vacant when it could have a family there with kids playing, be turned into a community park, or be the location of a new ice cream shop on Lake Street. Whatever your own vision for Miller might be, we are all an important part of this. And together we can change the outlook of the community. I'm going to turn the rest over this to Marcy, and she's going to discuss the goals of the group and how it relates to the study that was done.
So as Jennifer said, as Jesse said, as most of the committees have said, and as was identified in a lot of the surveys with folks, one of the amazing things about Miller is its location, its proximity to Chicago, our position along the lake, As our door to Miller beautifully illustrates the great view of the Chicago skyline, our proximity to the national park, so we really have some huge advantages that a lot of people are attracted by, and we feel that we can better capitalize on those and use those to further help build our community. But also people who were interviewed stated that blight is a significant problem. And while we're lucky to have a wide array of housing to appeal to a great group of people here, housing here can be very affordable. At the same time, the vacant properties and the blight are an issue which potentially limits us. So our committee has been meeting for the past few months, and we tried to put together some realistic goals to do what we can to address some of the blight issues. And we're lucky that we have a great group of people that have a lot of experience, folks from the Business Association, people like Jen who have experience with rehabbing properties and with salvaging items from them. And the three goals that we came up with were that we want to survey and compile information on 100% of the vacant properties in Miller by April of 2016 so that we can assess the redevelopment potential. Now what we've been doing is we've been starting with the Gary Parcel Survey that was done about 3 years ago. I don't know if folks here are familiar with that. So it's a great survey. It has some really good information on it. Some of it's changed because those surveys were done 3 years ago. So we've been starting by doing some refreshes of that information, identifying top properties that we feel are most important to research, and then us going off and prioritizing what properties we take a look at. So that's our first goal. Now our second goal is to reduce vacant properties in Miller by 20% by 2018. So of course that survey and researching who owns what properties, what's happening with them is kind of key, for us to move forward on trying to reduce blight in Miller. When we say reduce blight, we mean attracting people, attracting investors, attracting homeowners to try to reoccupy some of these vacant properties and put them back to use, and then working towards demolishing those that really are beyond help at this point. Now our third goal is to compile 20 Miller visioning ideas from local universities. Do some folks remember in the spring there was a really great exhibit at the Arts Center? The 3 different universities put together their visions for Miller in the future. Some folks went to that? Yeah, right. So our idea was to try to capture some of that good information that those folks did, to work with some future students who might be doing similar things, and to kind of have an archive of future visions for Miller that we can use to attract people, and investment to Miller. And now our fourth goal is to address 100% of beautification and security concerns at Lakeshore Dunes apartment complex by April of 2018. And I know that multiple committees have been working closely with them to try to help work on some of the security issues, some of the physical issues.
Gary, Indiana, not Louisiana, Paris, France, New York, or Rome, but Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, my home sweet home.